Greetings and welcome to Insights with Dr. Val-Addo. Our general focus for the 025 series is overview of the 400 years history of Africans in the U.S. 400 years history of Africans in the U.S. is so extensive that it has to be an overview. In actual fact, an abridged outline of what actually has gone on in America for 400 years regarding Africans. Now, I would like to repeat what we said in the previous presentation, that the history of a people reflects the established institutions and structures of the society they lived in. In other words, the established institutions and structures of a society shape the history of a people. So our focus primarily will be on some 4 institutions and structures, and also of the civil society groups of the American society that shaped the 400 years history of Africans in America. And these are: 1, the American church institution and structures; 2, American political institutions and structures; 3, American religious institutions and structures; and 4, American legal institutions and structures, and also American civil society groups, and how all these institutions and groups treated Africans. We may better understand the history by how these institutions and structures and civil society groups treated the Africans in America, first as enslaved people, and second as freed people. As I hinted earlier, it will be practically impossible to cover 400 years of history of Africans in America within the shortest possible time and without boring you. Hence, an overview. We will later recommend to our viewers or audience what to do if they are interested in some details of the history. Now, we want to first cover the American church institution in the history of Africans in the U.S. First part, or part 1. And that will be the first institution that we want to focus on, that is the church. And I'm very much interested in it because of the influence it had in the life and the history of Africans in America. It is not because of intellectual dishonesty, far from that, but because as a theologian, I do a scientific study of how the Creator relates to His creation, especially people, the society we live in, and the church as both organism and institution. And we want to look at the beginning of the United States of America from the first English settlers. Their settlement had no link with Christianity. It had no link with any church denomination or a particular church institution. However, a year after the 20 enslaved Africans were sold as slaves to the first English settlers, and that was in 1620, the Puritans, known today as PROHIBITED, a group of Christians running away from persecution in England, arrived in North America. And so we want to cover the history of slavery from 1700 to 1830, after about 81 years of the existence of Africans in America. Now, from 1700s to 1830, slavery in American society was given an awkward meaning and support by European American churches in the 7 slave-holding southern states. And in America is divided. I want to take you to the map. America is divided into the West, the Midwest, the Northeast, and then the South. Now, the first 7 southern states that were holding slaves, or we call them the 7 slave-holding states, were South Carolina. Number 2 was Georgia. Number 3 was Florida. Number 4 was Alabama. Number 5 was Mississippi. Number 6 was Louisiana. And number 7 was Texas. Now, later, 4 other states teamed up with the 7 southern states to form the Confederacy, and these were Arkansas, number 8, number 9, Tennessee, number 10, Virginia, and number 11, North Carolina. So these were the 11 states that formed the Confederacy, and 2 other states joined them later to form the Confederacy, and that was number 12, Kentucky, and number 13, Missouri. Now, the 7 southern states were able to hold slaves through emphasis on the curse of Ham from the scriptures. In the Concise Dictionary of Christianity of America, page 98, it highlights the following, and I would like to quote, curse of Ham, an argument used to justify slavery based on Noah's curse of Canaan, the son of Ham. In America, the use of the story can be traced to the beginning of the 18th century. After 1830, the story became one of the most popular defenses of slavery, being used by the clergy of many different denominations. Writers in the antebellum South especially used the philological argument that Japheth's name could mean whiteness, and Ham's name dark, hot, and black. End of quote. This argument, though wrong, was imported from Europe, where the first settlers came into North America. It was based on the European regional or particular philosophy and European Christian misinterpretation and misapplication of the Hebrew scripture in Genesis chapter 9, 25 to 27, where Noah cursed Canaan for a reason. Now, we would like to draw some clear evidences of the abuse and the misuse of true Christianity. That means true Christianity is there, but the people who came from Europe into America abused and misused true Christianity. And the first clear evidence of such abuse and misuse of true Christianity was a misplaced argument using a story in the Old Testament to justify slavery. The antebellum South is a term referring to the southern states of the United States of America before 1861. And as we have pointed out, these were the first 7 slave-holding states of Africans in America, because their economy depended on agriculture, or it depended mostly on cotton plantations. Now, these writers in the antebellum South misused the curse of Ham and used a questionable philological argument. That means argument based on the use of words, that Japheth's name could mean whiteness, and Ham's name could also mean dark, hot, and black. And the emphasis was on could mean. The use of the word could mean, or the phrase could mean, suggests the writers were uncertain of what they were propounding or propagating. That Japheth's name was whiteness, and Ham's name dark, hot, and black. They were only speculating, which was very typical of them, because the slaves or the Africans that were there at that time were dark in color, and they saw themselves as white. In actual fact, no human being is white. So the second clear evidence of the abuse and misuse of true Christianity was the use of speculation in reasoning to promote racism, specifically the so-called white and black colors of the skin. A continuous use of assumptions, dear listener, or conjectures, abstracts, or hypotheses without proof usually leads to hyperbole, and that is an amplified or simplified but exaggerated statements or claims that does not have the reality, or that does not measure up to reality, and is able to end up in falsehoods. The speculations about Japheth's name being white and Ham's name being dark, hot, and black eventually became part of American mode of thinking and wisdom. It shaped the society. It became part of the American Christianity and church concepts. It became part of American theology, or the way they presumed that God was relating to them from their perspective, and American culture or way of life. This gained roots also in the American churches of the Protestant tradition. American Caucasian Christians will therefore, based on this, attend their church services sitting inside their church buildings on pews, while their slaves stood outside and peeped through the windows. And so I want to give a third clear evidence of the abuse and misuse of true Christianity as segregation in Western Christianity. So, in the church, in the American church, there was an abuse and misuse of Christianity. And we have provided 3 clear evidences. Now, we don't want to take much of our time. We are focused first on the church institution, and we shall continue with it in the history of Africans in American culture in our next presentation. So please subscribe to our channel, Insights with Dr. Val-Addo, and hit the notification bell. Give us a thumb up, and please share this presentation with friends and families, and leave us a comment. God bless.